Thank you so much for staying with us right here on WION World is One News. I'm Chaiti, Narula, and welcome to the Union Budget Special. Today we're discussing the IT industry with Jaijit Bhattacharya, who is the partner of KPMG, and Dr. B.K. Gairola, who is the Director General of the NIC as well. Now, lack of digital literacy, internet penetration impacts not only the IT industry, but also makes our population inefficient and does not allow it to realize its full potential. Our correspondent, Nishita, finds out more. Take a look.
Bengaluru, the silicon city of the country, is also the fastest growing city of India. With its thriving IT industry and dynamic startup community, Bengaluru is lending its ears keenly to Jaitli's briefcase. Former Infosys CFO V. Balakrishnan asserted that the main expectations for the IT sector from the budget revolve around encouragement to R&D, investing in infrastructure and creation of jobs.
In Bangalore, there are 60 lakh vehicles and the infrastructure not caught up. A lot of productivity is lost because of that. People spend around 1 hour, 2 hours in the city, and average speed in Bangalore is around 4 to 5 kilometers per hour. So a lot of productivity is wasted for the industry. So if government can work, create a central fund, work with the states, select cities and improve infrastructure, mass infrastructure, that will be a good thing for IT industry.
Balakrishnan also added that India needs to create over 1 crore jobs every year, but that has seen an alarming slowdown in the last 2.5 years. Meanwhile, also known as India's startup capital, Bengaluru's young entrepreneurs have many inputs for Finance Minister Arun Jaitli. Having received a healthy boost in last year's budget, this year the young brains are expecting better implementation of the existing SOPs, apart from a few new ones.
One is the tax SOPs that were declared. To avail that, the registration process has been pretty long drawn and very difficult for a startup to focus whether on my product or on the registration process itself, right? So that has to be simplified and straightforward for every startup. Second, we're looking at removal of import duty for a lot of hardware products.
I'm expecting an extension of the startup mission plan that Modi gave, specifically in different sectors like education, railways, which actually need a lot of empowerment. I'm expecting some policies, sector-wise policies. And the second would be this whole cashless economy thing going on. So I'm expecting some incentives for startups which promotes the cashless transaction.
Jaitli had allotted 500 crore rupees for SC/ST and women entrepreneurs last year. Another young entrepreneur from Bengaluru, Khushbu, feels that the focus this time should be on managerial training for women.
I think more focus and incentives need to be given to the startup accelerators who promote women entrepreneurship. Also, it would be helpful if there can be more vocational training sessions for women, focusing more on the managerial skills, because today we have a lot of women in the technical jobs, but many women lack managerial skills per se. So focusing on the training sessions for them will really help. And grants for the startup in the initial phases that have been run by women entrepreneurs would again be a great help.
From easier government procedures to reduced import duty to insulating the impact of demonetization, the thriving IT sector and startup community of Bengaluru is having many expectations from Arun Jaitli's budget. Will they be fulfilled? In Bengaluru, with video journalist Padmanabh Rao, this is Nishita for WION.
You know, it's just for the benefit of viewers, the current government has been talking a lot about the Digital India initiative, but we don't really know what the on-ground impact of that scheme really is. If it hasn't been great, isn't it making our labour force inefficient as well? We also are talking about Aadhaar and the role it can play into the economy, linking it to subsidy dispersals, photo identity and whatnot. Probably these are the points that the government would have to really remember before they roll out the next union budget, which is why let's go over now to our panelists in the studio who will be giving their concluding thoughts on how the union budget would pan out and on the back of the points that we just discussed. Let's start off with Dr. Jaijit Bhattacharya, the partner at KPMG. Your closing thoughts and comments on the outlook for the Indian IT sector from the upcoming union budget.
What I would expect is that the budget should actually preserve what we already have. We have a large telecom network in place, multiple telecom players. We've got multiple IT corporations in place. We need to have sufficient budgetary provisions to support the existing telecom players so that they're able to expand and grow. Right now they're in a bad shape, and we can't expect to have a digital India with the private sector telecom not being in a good shape. Similarly, the workforce that we have in the ITS industry needs to be rapidly reskilled for the new kinds of technologies that are coming in. And there is a significant amount of automation that's happening in coding itself, and therefore a lot of the jobs in coding will go away in a few years' time. The budget should start looking at those issues also, in addition to everything else that came out in the little preview that you showed of people giving their feedback. So everything, all of that they said was true, and in addition we would expect that what is already there should be preserved and then grow on top of it, and the budget should focus on those issues.
Dr. Gairola, do you agree with Jaijit? And just to add to what he really said, the digital literacy bit, that is something that the government would have to really focus on when they're talking about digital India as well. So what would your expectations really be from the union budget for the IT industry?
See, if you really see the Digital India program, they have already identified the projects and the money that is required to be done. And I think there are 3 areas that they are looking at. One is the infrastructure, which means that the amount of money that has to go for building up the last mile connectivity access, using which you are going to do the education or health, whatever you look for. Second is the e-governance part, which is required to make sure that the services start flowing to the last mile. There is a lot of gap in that area. Each department has already been asked to work this out. So my feeling is the second money is going to be in the area of building up new e-governance applications. And the third area is to bring in the literacy, which is very crucial, not only the literacy for the common education, but also the IT literacy to be able to use that. So I think these are the 3 areas, which are 3 pillars which Digital India has already found out. And I hope that the money that they have committed should be available.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us right here at the WION headquarters and discussing the expectation from the IT industry from the upcoming union budget. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have on this edition of the union budget. But don't forget, every evening, 5:30 p.m., one sector and multiple analysis to that sector, and the expectation that the common man really has from the union budget is something that we will be discussing very closely on WION. World is One News. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Chaiti Narula signing off.